Alright, guys. How long does Wall of Fire last?
Up to a minute, I think.
Okay, so after a minute, the wall closes, and the lightning is still kind of creeping along the ground. But you see that the army has stopped running up, but there's still thousands of them out there. As far as you can see, the necrotic army stands there, just looking at the wall, staring into the very hearts of the elves, the men, the dwarves, the women and children that are there to protect it. They know their job is almost done. They know victory is at hand. The God King Xanthor commands them. No one shall be spared. There is no mercy. There are no prisoners. Only the dead will rise in service of Xanthor, who will rule this material plane forever. But as that happens, and as they think they have victory in their hands, perhaps the very gods themselves play their final card. As one of the electrical sparks on the ground begins to become bigger and brighter. Let's see if I can find it real quickly. If I can, I'm just gonna roll without it. I need one of these things to be... Oh, it might be in here. If I can find it real quick. I guess not. I can't find it. But anyway.
What dice do you need?
No. I need... You know what? I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use this.
My word, Dusty.
Oh god. I'm gonna put these out, as you can see.
That is a true statement, Dustin. I would be a terrible, goddess because I wouldn't want to rule better. I believe in retirement, for sure.
Through these portals, you see a portal open up in front of the barricade. And through the wall, you can see a very large Goliath come out of it. A Goliath holding a very large keg. But this is a keg of oil. And he starts to cover himself in the oil. Looking around,
what?
He knows he's in the right place. And then
waste of beer.
It's oil.
It's oil, not beer, but this seems really
Can Ham tell
naughty.
the difference?
Yes.
Does it look like
It's
beer
oil.
to Ham?
It's definitely oil.
Okay.
He throws the keg down, and you just see him holding a torch. And he just yells out, "I'm gonna take as many of you with me. If I have to kill me to kill all of you." And you just see him standing there flexing.
This is horrific.
Through this-
I'm gonna have nightmares about this.
Through the same portal, you see a human coming out. Looks like a fighter. Has two swords in her hand. In his hand. Followed by multiple tabaxi. Just pouring out of all of these portals. Tabaxi everywhere. They start to form ranks. And they form ranks on either side of these portals. As Queen Percy comes out. A drunk paladin walks out of a portal.
Drunk paladin. We have a man setting himself on fire and a drunk paladin.
A dragonborn paladin stumbles out of the same portal, almost falls onto the oil-covered Goliath. There's this a cleric, a man dressed in armor with a trident, and some hooded figure coming out as well. out of one portal, and they just kind of look. There's a small group of them, and they just kind of look around with the tabaxi. Out of another group, you start to hear chains, like a dragging chain out of the portal, just the one I'm facing right now. And through this electrified portal, this swirling blue and white energy wave, you see a massive chain coming out of this portal. And it just lashes out, and you can see it's about 30, 40, 50 feet away. It grabs one of the undead and zips him right in. And you hear this god-awful crunching. And just bone splinters. And you just hear this nightmare fuel of growling. As a very small, stout, hairy dwarf, bare-chested, with a huge knapsack on his back. And in his other hand, he has a folded bear trap. And he just stands out in front, and you just see him. And he looks at the necrotic army. And he just, with one swift motion, like a punch, like he's punching the ground. He just snaps his hand, and the bear trap opens. And behind him is a shadow of a four-legged animal, a huge animal. It comes up to its shoulders come up to this man's head. And he just looks over at this dwarf. And you guys are just flooded with one word. And it just says, Harg, 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 Harg. And in another portal next to him, you start hearing this weird sound. Like you've never heard this sound before. You've heard people talk, people with weird voices. But you hear the thud, thud, thud. As this figure comes out with, looks like somebody's riding this huge metallic stone monstrosity. It is a warforged that you've never seen like before, and he has this huge shield with hundreds of points on it. And then you hear this hooded figure in the back take his finger, he puts it up in the air, and he goes, "Ah, yes, the mana purity is good here." And then you see a small blue tiefling coming out from behind him. And you can see through the field that even though it's foggy, you can see the blue glow of their hands. As you can see frost dripping from their finger, just kind of floating down. It's almost like their hands are snowing. And you can just see that this person definitely would be Hoarfrost himself, the living legend, the Grandma Killer, with Echo and Nocturne. Classic characters of old, the gods have called them forth through their respective timelines to fight here today, to end this Xanthor reign before it even begins. And yet another portal comes forth, a figure with long flowing hair, followed by another figure with even better long flowing hair. And it is impossible to believe, but Gil and Jaren, the best looking bards everywhere. It's Jaren.
Aaron!
Yeah, that's what I said, Karen. Gil and Karen kind of look around and they start laughing. And they just flip their hair. And as they flip their hair, you can see a small 10-foot circle open up from the wind from their hair as the fog moves and comes back every time they whip their hair.
Back and forth.
They whip their hair back and forth.
I don't know what I'm saying here, but this is...
You hear the murmurs going through the ranks. Legends! Heroes, they say! These are the legends of Malith. They've killed hundreds of thousands of evil doers and partakers. They are the good guys. Unfortunately.
Probably.
Behind Gil, you see a very small figure. Almost looks like a gnome. And he looks around. He goes, "Hey, this must be the right stuff. You guys got room for a Griggle?" "I'm Griggle Supperbutt, first of my name." And you see him go into his waistband and pull out a large gun.
What was that to be like?
Is Ham close to Griggle? Can Ham give him knuckles after he does that?
I'll put
At
you
least air knuckles
I'm-
at minimum.
I'm going to put all of you right now up at the front with the legends. I didn't have time to put all these guys on NPC things.
That's fair.
And Ciora.
I'm totally gonna put my badge on Griggle.
As you
If I
walk
get
up,
close to him.
it's like you could just Griggle looks at you. "Ham, how the heck you doing, buddy?" And then
Oh, Griggle, my friend, I think you have finally earned the right to be one of us. And he hands him his badge.
and you just see a tear running down Griggle's
badges?
face.
Oh, you missed it. It was epic. Yes, we got badges.
You can see, you just hear this ferocious growl. Like you've never heard this growl uttered before. It's Xanthor. It sounds like it's coming from one of the portals. Terran, which is the fighter, right? Karen?
Jaren is the fighter.
That's what I said, Karen. Sharon is the fighter.
wait, so he's going to mispronounce Jaren.
Jaren knows that sound. And you can see him, because he's the machoest man out here, just looking over at to where the portal's coming from. And he just looks over at the necrotic army. He goes, he does a Hulk thing. It's like, "Oh, you guys are so screwed now." And through one of the portals steps this orc, dragging a great axe. Face with a red handprint. Comes out right next to you, Jaren. Puts the red hand on your face. And looks out over the battlefield. And you just start seeing him flex. And you start seeing the muscles ripple. As he starts to enter his rage and he starts to froth at the mouth.
Ew.
Oh, Ham, you have some competitors.
And above the necrotic army, only you, the misfits, see this. You have a small portal open up. It's almost like a rainbow, but in a circular rainbow pattern. It's got the colors of the rainbow. And sparkles start to come out of this. And then as you see it gets a little bit bigger, and it kind of like pans out a little bit more. And you see this huge unicorn. And on this unicorn is a small halfling reading a book.
She's so into this fight.
And she looks over at you guys, and she looks up from the book, and she goes, "You silly heads. Go kick some ass." And with that, Grom leaps into action into the ranks. Everybody roll for initiative.